The scream hit me before the footsteps did. "You're in violation. Step out now." Four men in bulky frames, dressed in what looked like police uniforms, kicked through the side gate of my ranch like they were executing a raid. They didn't knock, didn't call, didn't hesitate. They just marched in, sirens blaring from a black SUV idling on the gravel road, red and blue lights flashing like it was some federal operation. The sun had barely risen. I was still feeding the goats when their boots crunched across my land. One of them shoved a clipboard at my face, barking something about Community Code 17B. Another rested his hand on what looked like a taser. I blinked, disoriented. What violation? I don't even live in your HOA. The tallest one stepped closer, the stink of cigar and cheap cologne drifting off him. You think you're special? You think goats and an old truck make you exempt? We got eyes on every corner, pal. You're out of compliance. Behind him, one man filmed me on his phone while another unrolled a tape measure and started sizing up my barn fence without asking. I felt the blood in my veins thrum with anger. "You're trespassing," I said, my voice steady. "Turn off that camera before I." "AOA law enforcement," the clipboard snapped. "We're authorized. You'll hear from our legal team." That's when the sound of engines split the air. Dust rose behind the barn as 5 motorcycles rumbled into view. The Iron Antlers. My crew. We weren't just riders. We were brothers, mechanics, veterans, farmers, men who knew the weight of work and the meaning of loyalty. They parked in a line, boots slamming dirt, engines growling. The fake cops froze like raccoons in a spotlight. "You boys come here to start something?" Doc, the oldest of us, asked. His calm voice carried like a blade. The tallest stammered, "This is official HOA business. We'll be reporting this act of intimidation to who?" Boomer, an ex-Marine, cut in. His tone was low and sharp. "The real police? They'll love hearing why you're impersonating officers on private land that isn't even under HOA control." Silence. The fake cops scrambled, stumbling back to their SUV. Tires spun, gravel sprayed, and they were gone. But their arrogance left something behind. Under the haystack near the gate, I found a blinking black device, a hidden camera. That's when I knew this wasn't some petty stunt. Someone was watching me. I should back up. My name's Jack Palmer. I'm 47, a retired firefighter who bought this ranch 3 years ago to escape city noise. 15 acres, an old barn, goats, a cabin I rebuilt with my own hands. I came here for peace, not drama. But peace ended the day Whispering Pines rose on my border. A shiny new housing development with more rules than common sense. Lawn height, mailbox color, wind chime noise levels. Their president, Nancy Brighton, was a neon blazer tyrant who once complained that my cows mooed too loudly at sunrise. When I didn't bow to her authority, the harassment began. False complaints. Inspectors at my gate, anonymous calls. Then the so-called security unit sneaking around my barn. The sheriff shrugged when I reported it. "No such thing as HOA security in this county," he said. "They're faking it." And he was right, because 2 days later, those same imposters kicked my gate down. Then they left their camera. Coincidence? No. This was war. I called the Antlers. That night, we sat in Benny's garage, root beer bottles clinking, grease-stained hands resting on the table as we planned. "If they want intimidation," Doc said, "we'll show them what community really means." We rode into Whispering Pines a week later. 7 bikes, engines low, headlights cutting through the dark like predators. Inside their glass-walled clubhouse, Nancy was at her podium, voice shrill, waving her neon clipboard. She froze when she saw us outside. Her face drained as if she'd seen ghosts. She stormed out, heels stabbing the pavement. "You can't just ride into our neighborhood like a biker gang," Doc answered softly. "We're not a gang, ma'am. We're a community. Unlike yours, we don't send fake cops to terrorize folks." Boomer held up a printed still from my trail cam, the image of a man planting a device behind my barn. "Look familiar?" he asked. Nancy's eyes darted. "No proof that's us." "I've got a case number," I said, raising my phone. The crowd inside pressed to the glass, whispering. Some looked ashamed. One kid even flashed us a thumbs up. Nancy sputtered threats, but she was cornered. We left peacefully, but I made it clear. If another fake officer stepped on my land, it would end in court. For a while, things quieted. Then I got a letter. Silverhawk Protective Services billed me for unauthorized use of community roads, a road I'd never driven. When I called, the woman stammered, "That's what the HOA board submitted." I slammed the phone down, rage curling in my gut. Enough. I pulled every record at the county office, maps, permits, easements, and I found it, a forgotten strip of county land between my ranch and their clubhouse. Legally open. I filed for a permit, called it Palmer Community Outreach Shed. Weeks later, a bright red container stood planted there. Iron Antlers Community Tool Shed. Solar panel on top. Bold and defiant. Nancy nearly tore the permit in half when I showed her. "We'll fight this," she hissed. "No, ma'am," I said. "You'll regret picking the wrong neighbor." A week later, vandals spray painted the shed. Cameras caught them trying to pry it open at 2 a.m. One pointed straight at the lens before cutting the feed. They weren't stealing. They were sending a message. So we set bait. Hidden trail cams disguised in brush, birdhouses, toolboxes. 4 nights later, they returned. Hoodies, bolt cutters, paint cans. They slashed, sprayed, smashed. One slipped, ripping his mask off. The birdhouse cam caught his face clean. Greg Shaw, Nancy's cousin. I marched that footage straight to the sheriff. His eyes hardened. This isn't HOA drama anymore. This is criminal. Finally, they were listening. But retaliation came fast. My goats got out, the pen lock sliced clean. While I wrangled them back, Nancy filed a petition claiming my livestock were dangerous. She wanted me gone for good. That night, Ellie from the HOA board called. Her voice trembled. They've been using HOA funds to pay those fake officers. Nancy and Greg are planning something worse. If the sheriff doesn't back off, they'll create an emergency, something big enough to shut you down. My blood chilled. "What do you mean worse?" "I don't know," she whispered, crying, "but you need to be ready." So we rallied. Bikers, veterans, farmers, families. The Ride for Rights. 50 bikes strong, flags flying, signs demanding an end to HOA abuse. The sheriff's deputies stood watch, calm, respectful. Nancy shrieked that we were inciting unrest. A deputy corrected her. Peaceful protest, no laws broken. Then he served Greg with trespassing and vandalism charges on the spot. The crowd cheered. Nancy fumed, but she wasn't finished. She called an emergency vote to sue me, claiming my shed was a fire hazard, my goats a health code violation. Only Ellie's courage saved me. She testified publicly, handing over emails where Nancy plotted to escalate until Palmer cracks. The room erupted. Homeowners shouted, waving their dues statements. Sheriff Duval strode in with a folder: trespassing, misuse of funds, illegal surveillance, impersonation of officers, suspected arson. "We'll be looking into every single one," he told Nancy. She collapsed into her chair. The board suspended her and Greg that night. I thought it was over. Then came the drone photo. My ranch circled in red: barn, goat pen, front porch, bedroom window. A note scrawled across the top: "Next time we don't miss." Ellie brought receipts the next morning. Payments from the HOA to Ironfront Solutions, a shell company tied to Nancy's brother Lawrence Brighton. He wasn't on the board, but he owned the real estate firm behind Whispering Pines. He wanted my land for development. Nancy was just his puppet. When we brought the evidence to Duval, his jaw clenched. "Lawrence Brighton," he muttered. "He's slick, but this crosses a line." That night, 3 black trucks rolled up to my road. Men in masks stood outside, silent, watching. My crew lined up on my porch: Boomer with a shovel, Doc with an axe handle, Benny with a flashlight like a club. 5 minutes of tense standoff before the trucks reversed into the dark. They didn't need to speak. Their silence said it all. I moved fast. I filed for historical agricultural preservation, backed by veterans, neighbors, state reps. Weeks later, the designation came through. My ranch was untouchable. No one could pave, build, or seize it. Lawrence panicked. The investigation caught up with him. The state attorney general dropped the hammer. Unlawful surveillance, conspiracy, impersonation, attempted land grab. Nancy went down too. Fraud, misappropriation. Greg flipped, spilling secrets about Ironfront contracts in other towns. The HOA was gutted. Whispering Pines rebuilt from ashes. Its board restructured. Finances audited. Neighbors who once sneered at my goats came to my ranch with cobbler and apologies. They realized I wasn't the problem. I was the warning. We rebuilt the shed, stronger, brick walls and solar backup. It became the Iron Antlers Community Center. Veterans met there, kids played, Ellie taught gardening. Life finally felt normal. But on clear nights, I still caught drones skimming the moonlight. Watching. Waiting. I didn't fear them anymore. Let them watch. Let them see what community looks like when it stands together. My land wasn't just a ranch now. It was a symbol, and I wasn't just a rider. I was a guardian.